What's going on, everyone? Today's episode of What's Good in Riverside, I'm very fortunate to have this famous producer from Hollywood, Alex. I met her, has it been 2 years now? How long ago? Was it 2?
I think a year.
A year ago? Maybe 2?
I don't know, about 2 years.
A year and a half ago. We'll split the difference. A year and a half ago in this office, this actual office. Now it's a podcast room. And at the time, you were like kind of dabbling. You wanted to go to Hollywood. And now look at you. You have a show coming on Netflix next week. Hilarious. It has to do with real estate. I would love to know how much is actually about real estate.
That's so funny.
Right?
There's a lot of real estate in there. The houses are a huge upgrade from season 1, which is kind of cool. So the houses were pretty magnificent. So
well, she just threw a claimer out before she didn't produce number 1. So what was the difference between number 1 and number 2 then, housing wise? Like, is the show got a little bit more popular, so people were like,
okay, and so this is getting into real estate, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie, I don't know all my real estate terms.
Sure.
But I'll say the highest home that they sold or were going to sell in the first season was $40 million.
Got it.
This one they go up to 80.
Wow.
80 million. Yeah.
It's crazy to think. I mean, I don't know. Just to let everyone know, an $80 million house, if it's at 2.5% commission, that's $2 million in commission in one deal.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem what people don't see, and probably the thing, when I watch $1 Million Listings, and it's like that one house is also like 6 months to sell.
Yeah.
And you throw it in a 30-minute show, and you're like, they just made $2 million off a 30-minute show.
Well, that's one thing that I'll say that they did make very clear is the timeline for it.
Oh, good.
Because she was specifically, I don't want to say too much, but she was under a specific timeline because of their agreement between her and the buyer or seller.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seller. She has a contract. Yeah.
Yeah.
So most contracts are 6 months, everyone, just so you know. So that's awesome. So how did you get your start? Or no, let's go back a little bit farther. What made you first want to go that direction? Like, was it high school? Was it junior high? Was it a kid? When did you kind of get that niche of being like, hey, this is something I want to pursue?
Okay. So people find this hard to believe, and I've been told I'm fortunate, but literally I've known since I was maybe 4. And it started just, like simple Sunday, you're watching cartoons in your pajamas, and I just remember seeing all of the content, and it's like specifically there was this one commercial where there was this kid that had a camcorder when they were like just coming out with it at like Toys R Us, and I wanted it so bad, and I always knew I wanted to be behind the camera at some point. Not necessarily as like a camera operator, but just I knew I wanted to make TV. TV. I mean, as I progressed and went through high school, surprisingly, there was a lot. I had a half and half. A lot of people were very discouraging of it because they didn't see it as a real profession. And then the second were my very close friends and family were very supportive, and a few actually instructors from King that have reached out to me too. So I just went for it, and I didn't see myself doing anything else. And when that happens, it's like you just do it.
Yeah, isn't it kind of funny how like whenever you come with the idea of a job that like teachers or other people don't really know about, it's a bad idea?
Yeah, because it's a risk, right?
Yeah.
But it's something that you choose to create for yourself, and as long as you know that.
I think it's interesting too, is everyone's like always wondering, like, you're taking a risk. I'm taking a risk. Guys, we know, and people in our industry, anyone going after Hollywood's a big risk. Anything that I do is a big risk. But it's like, but then everyone who kind of like played it safe, now you don't have a job right now, right? So it's like, yes, it's risky, but there's risk in any job.
There is risk in any job too. I'm very surprised that I'm still employed with all of this happening.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's just timing, right? Like, I happen to be in the pre-production phases, so I'm in a position where I'm just in an office versus a lot of friends and colleagues that were out in the field filming whatever it was they're filming just halted.
So what was the first ever kind of like your break of shows that you got and you stepped on, and how did that kind of happen?
You want like my first big job, or you want like my very first TV job?
First TV job.
Okay.
Because listen, anyone can talk about like, oh, look at her, she's going on Netflix. I want the gritty.
Here's the thing about.
I want the show that no one watched, that maybe never even aired.
I wouldn't be. This doesn't really cater to that, but okay. I'll tell you how it happened. So I was working retail, Harbor Freight Tools.
Nice.
And So I was in like freshman, sophomore year of college. I already knew like I'm going
Where'd you
after
go to college
TV.
at?
I started 2 years at RCC, got 5 associate degrees there, and then went and got my bachelor's at Columbia.
Nice.
So while I was in college working retail, I saw this gentleman walked in, and he had a West Coast Customs shirt on. And so he looked like he was coming from the shop, and I knew that at the time they were located in Corona. See, it's just, anyways. So I just started talking to him. And then we started getting in the position where I started talking about what did I want to do. And then right as he's leaving, he says, hey, you should come in and see if you can intern. I'll connect you with so-and-so, and hopefully something works out. Went in, had an interview. I was an intern.
Nice.
So West Coast Customs. Yeah. So that was when they were in Corona at the time. We did like, I remember when I was there, they did the Batmobile for Justin Bieber's dad.
Okay.
So around that time. And that was my first internship.
Look at you.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, yeah, right place, right time, but it's also being your authentic self and really vocalizing what it is that you want to do in life.
Well, and do you think that maybe all the things you did before kind of led up to put you in that opportunity to take advantage of that?
I mean, that's hard to say, right? How did I know I was going to run into him at...
But I mean, saying like wanting to do it since being interested in high school.
Oh, for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I grew up, I mean, and that's another part of it too. It was like I grew up, I loved watching car shows. Like Fast and Furious franchise, it's my favorite franchise.
Number 3 sucks, but it's not here nor there.
Anyways.
Yeah. My
favorite franchise, so of course, like I loved, was Pimp My Ride at the time.
Yeah.
And then went over to West. So I already knew. That was also another big motivating factor for me in wanting to go into unscripted TV. So, yeah, I think absolutely.
You like the reality TV side of everything?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's because you're interacting with real people who make a difference. And you're not creating a character that people may or may not relate to.
So do you guys, obviously a lot of people always say reality TV is fake. Obviously someone behind the scenes, is that a true statement?
Ooh, that's a very wide net question that can go so many different ways.
Do you guys put situations in to be good for TV?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah. For sure.
I think that's what people think. I'm like, if you literally watch someone where there's nothing done, it would be boring and no one would watch it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to just get cameras and follow someone around all day because that's a waste of time and money. There's no way that that's going to happen.
So how hard is it to set up, like, for you guys? Is it like, okay, we're shooting this day at this house, and then everyone has to go to that, and then is that like at that one house, is that a one-day shoot right there?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, on like 12-hour day.
And you're working out in Hollywood. Are you commuting back and forth from Riverside?
I am.
Oh,
I am.
You haven't made that jump yet to go to live out
I
there?
am saving. I'm racking up and keeping my eyes on the market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, don't expect to go down anytime soon. Sorry.
Really?
Not even close.
Are you serious?
It's only going up.
Oh gosh.
It's literally only going to skyrocket.
Well, there goes that.
We're
just gonna move across seas.
Yeah. So you went from West Coast Customs as an intern. Then where was kind of the next step for you?
Okay. So the next step, I was coming towards the end of my college year. Keep in mind that while I was in college, I was donating my time to a lot of other students' thesis films. And what a thesis film is, it's your short film. Like, that's the film you graduate with and you take for wherever you're trying to get a job. So on my way out, you're going to laugh, I interned at TMZ.
Nice.
And learn a lot about, that's where I picked up my love for like the fast pace environment. Like, I can't be here's the thing, like I got on a scripted set once, and I was on scripted sets throughout like my entire college time, but it's like I can't sit there and shoot a door slamming 20 times a day.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Or like someone screws up a line and they're like, all right, retake.
Right.
Retake.
I can't do that. It's just I'm too impatient.
We had someone in one of my video guys, Brent, he went to school and his guide, he has a friend that just graduated from CVU, and he's in does plays. And I was talking about it. I'm like, dude, how do you learn those lines? I would be like, I would just have to freestyle. Like,
Yeah.
And I was like, what if you go off script? He's like, if you kind of forget your lines, you can kind of go off script. But if not, then you have to like you kind of have to restart.
Yeah. It's a whole other process.
So what did you do at TMZ?
I was a post-production intern.
Okay.
And
you didn't want to stay there? You didn't want to stay in the...
You know, the problem with, not so much a problem, it's just preference, right? Yeah. I didn't want to get into the news part and exploit
people.
Well, not saying like they exploit people, but you know, I think what they do is great. I mean, look at the reputation they have. It's just, it wasn't the way I wanted to be involved in the industry.
Yeah, no worries.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the thing too, is like you're just deep diving into other people's lives.
Yeah.
And sadly, you're kind of hoping they screw up because then it's bigger news for you.
I mean, like you said, you're diving deep into their lives in a different way versus a lot of the projects that I have been fortunate to work on to this point. It's been more of a celebratory way and approach.
Yeah.
So I like that. You know, you're relating whoever it is to just myself or you.
Do you have an agent or do you go out and have to go get all your own gigs?
I have to go get all my own gigs. I have to.
You're
hustle.
not big time enough to have an agent.
Time.
Dang.
I mean,
you don't want to give someone 10%?
I don't know how I feel about that yet. That's something I have to do more research on. I do have mentors that have agents, so it's not.
Well, do you feel like for you, like, I mean, it's kind of going well for you right now, so it's like, and you've kind of seemed like you've always had a job, so it's kind of like, why am I gonna give up 10% to someone if I'm already doing this myself?
Right. It's easy to look at that right now, but I also don't want to be naive.
True.
Yeah.
So, are you able to be, like, when you're on one show, are you only committed on that show? And then do you kind of have to, like, when that season ends, do you have to go and try to find a little gap show? Or do you kind of take that time, like we were joking before this, like your Instagram page is like travel channel over here. Seriously.
Travel channel.
I don't even, it's like, what was that game called? What was that girl with the red hat back in the day?
Is it some kind of princess on Mario
No,
Kart?
it wasn't. No. It was that mystery show that was on the computer. Well, they had a cartoon about it. She was all in red, and then she would be like, anyways, now it's gonna bother me. It's like, anyways, the woman that was always like all over the place, and you always had to guess where she was at. So I feel like that's you every time.
That's cool.
Every time
I kind of like that.
Every time I see your
no one
Instagram
knows
page,
where I am.
like you're on a mask, you're in Italy, you're doing this, you're doing that. I'm like, so is that like kind of the time you take to like deconstruct and kind of take a break?
Yeah, definitely. And that's the other thing I love about the position I'm in right now is like, so how I kind of time it out, right? Like when I know I'm gonna come to like 3 months towards the end of a job, I start looking.
Mm-hmm.
And then I try to set it up to where I know where the second one is going to happen. So far, it's been working out pretty great. And then I say, okay, I'm going to start on that date. So I'm going to plan a trip for between then. Yeah.
Got it.
Or immediately when I jump on a show, as soon as I'm told I'm going to be done on a certain date, I'll leave the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So,
aren't you worried? Well,
I mean,
and are there cut times? Like, aren't you worried it might get pushed back?
Oh, yeah. And it happens all the time.
And then you're like...
And that happened on this show.
And then you're getting pissed because you're like, I'm supposed to be gone right now.
Well, it happened on this show, and I really wanted to stay on working. And this is the thing about... You meet some of the greatest people. The team that I had encouraged me to go.
Yeah.
They said, just go. Don't stay for another weeks. Like... And I'm glad I did because I went and then all the chaos happened.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not only that. Like, I don't go for luxury. I go to, like, just open my perspective and learn more things about myself. Mm-hmm. And it also really helps me recollect about the direction I'm going in my career. And also, like, you just get inspired.
Yeah.
And, like, that translates to the content that you're producing.
Well, I bet people don't understand when you're on a show, how many hours a day is that taking up your time?
Oh, gosh. Okay, so I'll tell you the longest I've ever been on set was 15 hours.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And is it 7 days a week?
You can, well, not necessarily. You're doing 5, sometimes 6.
Mm-hmm.
There's only been a few instances where I've done 7, but that's you just can't.
You can't keep it
illegal.
Up. Oh, it's illegal.
Yeah, they'll have labor coming after the crew and stuff.
So obviously you're kind of in this different world now of like Hollywood. Do you feel like it's kind of fits who you are? And do you think it's meant for everyone? I'm asking all these hard questions. Is this your first podcast?
It is.
Oh, okay.
Can you tell?
No, not at all.
Am I super green?
No.
That's what we say in the industry. We say call people green.
No, I just always ask because it's funny because it's like I think that's why so many people say yes, because I always ask people I know don't do podcasts. They're like, I'll totally do a podcast with you. I've never done this before. It's fun time. So do you feel like Hollywood kind of fits you? You know, you could have gone to New York, you could have gone other places. Do you think Hollywood is just kind of the best situation for you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, people from New York come here, and I've learned that because I thought, I should go just temporarily experience New York in this industry, and I've connected with a lot of people from from all over the country, and they all come here because this is where the industry is its best.
Yeah.
So to be so close to it, the entertainment capital of the world, yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of opportunity here, and as long as you stay true to yourself in all of that, yeah.
Do you feel like a lot of people couldn't hack it in Hollywood, like they say?
I think the answer to that is more so, if you're not doing it, or if you're not pursuing it for the right reasons, don't do it, because you won't.
Try to get famous or be around famous people.
That and it's just people think it is so cool, right? And it's so glamorous, but it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
It is still work.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like I have an amazing time, and I have experiences that I think I wouldn't get doing anything else, but it's still a lot of hard work, and I'm under a lot of pressure a lot of the time, and it's just so I could like make a show happen. You know, we always joke and we say we're not curing cancer.
Yeah. But
it gets really intense, especially when you're out in the field and every minute is money.
And then do you sometimes, I know it happens in my industry where people see what I do on TV or see TV shows and they think, oh, it's so easy.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's the same thing? People like underestimate how hard and how much stress is out there for you guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
I just don't think people ever think, even I don't think people even know the pressure until they're in it. And I think that's really the big thing that separates people that can handle the pressure and can't.
Yeah, exactly. Like I didn't know what I was, I knew what I was getting into, and I'm lucky I came across people in so many different ways that they gave me the insight that like you have to work really hard, you have to hustle, you have to always be 5 steps ahead, always, and they are so right. And that was the best advice I was ever given coming in this industry, because that's literally what it's like. Every minute that you're on set. I mean, there's a couple moments where you can like just chillax, but otherwise, like if you can't handle that pressure, you're probably gonna fail.
I think that's crazy because I tell people, dude, it's the pressure factor that a lot of people just aren't meant for it.
Well, and then too, look at it this way. Just an example, another show I did for A&E, America's Top Dog. We had 150 alone just in crew. Mm-hmm. So that's like safety, cam ops, paramedics, like everyone for talent, maintenance, like food. Like there's a lot of stuff that people don't think about. Like it's running a whole operation that people, like where are the bathrooms going to go? Who's going to clean the bathrooms? Like just simple stuff like that. Like how is talent getting here? When are they getting here? Like, do we have food for the dog? Like, what's their diet? You've got to know all this stuff, even as a producer, because you can't be out there and have them upset, or you can't be out there and be unprepared. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you've got to think, you're thinking about all of the creative that goes into it, but you're also thinking about all of the logistical measures that can set you back from making all of that creative happen.
And then, like you said, it's time is money.
Yeah.
So what people don't realize, it's like, they see that these studios make all this money, but they're also fronting a big amount of money.
And it's a risk.
And the show might flop.
Yeah.
Or it might never
It's
even
a
work.
risk.
Yeah. Have you ever been on set of a show and you're like, this show sucks? Like, this is not going to do well. Can you kind of tell? Maybe personally, not you, but other people, where you're like, your people, friends in the industry, and they're like, I'm on a show right now and it stinks.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And they're like, this is not, like,
I was going to say, my view is very subjective. That's why it's hard to.
It'd be like, I know season 2 is not happening, so I got to find another job.
Yeah.
So are you in a contract with them? Or is it like season by season? Or how's that work?
Yeah. So it goes like episode order or season.
Mm-hmm.
And so like they'll say, okay, we have a 10 episode order. You're going to be on from this day to this day.
And then when that's done, you have to renegotiate a deal?
I have to go find another job.
Oh.
Unless here's the thing too, is like you'll be doing the season, right? You don't know you're going to get a next season until it airs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I'm guaranteed to come back anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then is it kind of like, do you negotiate your deal, or is it just like, this is what we're giving you?
Oh yeah, I have to negotiate, and it is scary.
Maybe you need an agent.
It is scary. Like, I remember, and this is one of I think the hardest things for someone to learn, especially if you don't have someone to lean on in the industry. I'm very fortunate I found someone, because it's like you don't know what someone in my position would make, right? Mm-hmm. So how do I even negotiate that? How do I know what's low? How do I know what's high? It's money I've never seen before. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of comes with the experience, right? And you kind of start seeing, okay, I'm getting the same thing. Wait, that's lower than what I got. That's not right. Mm-hmm. And then you start getting higher, and you're like, oh, I didn't know I could get that much. Great, sign me up. And then after that happens, you start negotiating as you go. And then as you negotiate, you kind of hit a certain point where they're not going to pay you that much for whatever position it is. So now it's time to move up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you're talking about moving up. What's your next position you want to kind of take on?
Field producer.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would be that? What would you have to do in that job?
It's just more of a leadership role.
Okay.
And so I think, at least for me, it's something I'm comfortable with, because I think, like we were saying earlier, you have to be great with people, mm-hmm. and being 5 steps ahead, right? You got to know what time that person's got to be ready for when we get there, and what's got to be set up, what they have to be wearing. There's a lot that goes into it.
And then you're talking about, and let's go to the show. Obviously, your last show that's going on Netflix. Everyone should go watch it for, and then text her saying that it's amazing. 2. So you're a producer. So how many are you the only producer on set at one time?
No.
How many people on that show was on?
Okay, Selling Sunset.
Yeah.
This is a little bit different because I was a producer in post-production.
Okay.
So you've got your producers, right? And those are the ones out in the field. You got a field producer, you got a supervising producer. Now, there's a whole other side of producing where it happens in post-production. And so you got your story producers, and then I was supporting all the story producers in there. So in that aspect, instead of being out in the field making everything happen, I was making everything happen on the back end and pulling footage and saying, okay, we're going to use that, we're going to use that, we're going to use that. And you kind of piece a story together, and then it gets handed to an editor.
Got it.
So people think it's the editor that's going through the footage all day. It's not. It's us.
So you're just sitting in front of a screen and just watching everything.
Yes. And you have to. So like this was a big cast. So there was at one time, 15 to 20 mics. Mm-hmm. You can't listen to all those at once. So what you have to do is you have to single out each mic, maybe listen to 2 to 3 people at a time, and watch that 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours of footage every single time that you're going 3, next 3, next 3. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's like largely what I did in pulling what we call sound bites that are going to make good promotional material for the show. Story shaping.
Yes.
In its simplest form. Does that make sense?
100%.
Please don't let me go ramble off too far.
No, because don't
let me bore you.
No, honestly, I probably know a little bit more because like Brant is doing a TV show for Netflix or for Amazon for someone right now.
Okay.
So watching him piece together episode 1, but he's doing it all. He's the editor.
It's a lot.
He's like last night I literally left at 8 and he was like, I took out a piece and now I gotta figure out how to put a piece in, and he's just like, I basically have to redo the whole show now.
No, that's hard because look, it's just him.
Yeah, just him.
So there was 5 producers doing all of that phase, right? And then we had 7 editors.
Yeah, just him.
That's insane.
So he just like, and then I look at the screen and I see all the jump cuts, and so like all the cuts and the sound bites and this and that, and he's like, looking at it, and he's like, I'm like, you're fried right now. He's like, I can't figure that, like, I can't piece it together. And then, like you said, it has to make sense.
It has to make sense, and you're also still under a lot of pressure because there's deadlines. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, sure, you have an air date, but even up to that, the network says we need to see a cut by this day. We need a second cut by this day. So you are still under a lot of pressure. And then when you go to screen an episode that's cut, if our executive has notes, we've got to get those notes done before it has to go to the network.
Yeah. And then, obviously you're not in the field on this show, or do you do everything from home then, or do you still go to LA and shoot it? And like, do you guys have like a place you guys all work together, or you do it all separately?
At the time, yes, we were all in the same office.
Okay.
Yeah, we all had our own. We work on Avid Media Composer. That's the industry standard.
Okay. Yeah.
I like using Premiere Pro, but I had to use Avid on this one. So,
what's the difference in systems? Just different editing style?
Avid is like a car, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a manual. It's like a stick shift car. It's gonna do what you want it to do. It's just you gotta put the gear in the right gear.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not
like it won't let you go unless you put it in the right gear.
So it's not like a manual where it's not like automatic. You just hit the gas and go.
Right.
Like Premiere.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's why I think my boys are fortunate, because I used to try to edit and try to do it, and I know how hard it is, and timing and piecing it together and like putting it all together, and I'm like, F this. And it looks like crap anyways. I'm like, this is terrible. And then, you met Adrian right before. Adrian's so good at cutting stuff, so it's like boom, boom, boom. Okay, it's done. And I'm like, how did you already do that?
It takes a lot of patience.
He's like, I love when I do long podcasts, and I give him the podcast boom. He's like, bro, an hour and a half, really? Because he jumps from mic to mic and camera to camera to camera, so he has to sit there and he like listens on like time and a half or something. Cut, move.
Yeah, just even that is time consuming.
Ugh. So you guys are on season 2. I would assume you guys are gonna get a season 3, right?
I hope so. It's looking really great. If I don't know, little fun fact. So one of the stars of the show, Chriselle Stoss, I hope I said her name right. She used to date.
Don't worry, she's not watching it.
She used to date Justin Hartley on This Is Us.
Oh, okay.
And so they had an unfortunate divorce this year, and it was big news. So that's gonna be.
I know, it's like flip or flop when they got divorced, but then he married a girl that looked just like.
She's on our show.
Oh, is she?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
He couldn't be on the show because of I think the contractual reasons, right? But
literally, it looks just like his ex-wife. Mm-hmm. I'm like, did he do that on purpose so maybe they could like slide her into his show and no one really pay a difference if they weren't paying attention? I literally saw a photo. I'm like, are they back together? I'm like, oh, that's not her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember when I first got in real estate.
From our show.
I remember when I first got in real estate, I was like, you need to go work for that guy. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm not gonna go work for him. Just because he's on TV doesn't make him a good real estate agent, Mom.
Yeah.
Like, so do you sometimes get are you going to try to go to the field next time if you go season 3, or do you kind of like the position that you're in right now?
Oh, I love the position that I'm in with that show in particular, because it is a whole different creative process.
Yeah.
It felt like I had more control.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Because you're picking what's going to get aired. What's going to go in the show.
Do you ever like get tired of like looking at film and you're like, oh my God, I've heard this.
Oh, for sure.
My brain. I don't even know how you do that for 12 hours a day, just looking at the screen. And
it's hard.
I bet. Do you sometimes think what you do is super easy and it kind of annoys the hell out of you? Do you ever get pissed off at people when they say like, oh, I could do that? And you're like,
no, because I understand that they probably don't understand what gets into it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I feel like people typically don't assume with me, which is nice, because I feel like it would kind of irritate me a little bit. But I mean, it's the same thing with real estate,
for
right?
sure. Yeah. I hope you know I'm for sure gonna watch this show now. All right, and if there's something there I don't like, I'm texting you and be like, "How did you put that in there?" That's terrible.
I named the first episode. I was so excited about that.
What's the name of the first episode?
It's called "Let the Real Estate Games Begin."
Oh God.
Yeah.
Take full credit of that one. Take full credit.
I am actually.
So do you have any next shows
it's
coming up soon?
It's very rare. I'm sorry?
Do you have any next shows coming in soon? Can you talk about them?
I can. This one was just actually publicly announced. It's a new memorabilia series for WWE. So the legends themselves, Stephanie and Triple H, have launched this whole initiative to where the legends are going to go out and find their memorabilia. So that's cool. What I'm working on now.
And what are you going to be doing in that position? Same thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, not in post-production. So I'm in pre-production and then anticipate to go out into the field.
Oh, so you're going to go out in the field in this one? Yeah. That's going to be a lot of traveling for you?
Yeah. Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Do you guys know when it's going to start?
We're anticipating to film in July.
Oh, if everything kind of opens back up?
Yeah. I think it's going to go like case by case basis.
Uh-huh.
State by state.
Do you have to, who puts the show together? Like where they're going to go? Is that you?
Oh gosh. I mean, there was a team of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us working under our showrunner. Mm-hmm. And so we all did the initial research and kind of laid the map out of what's going to happen. And then, unfortunately, it was just myself and my showrunner that were able to stay because of budget cuts. So a lot has changed since the team hasn't been able to work on it. So it's been a lot of him and myself changing as we go. I mean, it depends on where the hunt leads. It's not like we can necessarily pick where we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you even find that stuff? Do you guys are just
It's a lot of being on the phone.
Yeah.
A lot of being on the phone. And a lot of connections.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of connections. Yeah. And you meet one person and they take liking to you and then they'll say, "Hey, let me connect you with so and so." So from there. So it's a lot of gaining trust from people.
Do you ever get starstruck?
No, I'm trying to think of a moment where I was. I don't, because if anything, I get more tense.
You get nervous?
I get more tense because I want everything to go smoothly so badly, which is probably not good for me. But
hey, you're not going gray like me, so
yeah,
you're doing all right
for sure. For now. But I'm trying to think of a moment where and if I've ever been starstruck, and I can't say. I'll tell you, there was one time where I was fascinated. If you watch boxing, Vasily Lomachenko, I did a documentary with him on ESPN, and I was just like, my jaw was just dropping the entire time because I got to see him train in person. And that's another reason why I love unscripted and documentary, because you see things like that are just so unreal. So that's probably the only time.
So in the perfect world, where are you at in 5 years?
Huh. Was this an interview?
It is an interview. It's an interview to show people. So let me give you a backstory why I started doing this.
Yeah.
The reason why I started doing this podcast is because there's a lot of interesting people in Riverside, but we just don't really kind of get our thing, right?
You're totally right about that.
And so it's like yesterday we had Adam Kenney that played in the big leagues with the Angels, right? The day before that we have a girl that runs her own media company, and it's like, okay,
I love what you're doing.
If I'm a high school kid playing ball, but like Adam's story was coming out of high school, he went to graduate at North. Coming out of high school, he didn't even get a college, nothing. Like he had to go play at Northridge. Then all of a sudden, bing, bang, boom, he's a first-round draft pick in St. Louis. Bing, bang, boom, 4 years later, he's in 02 in the World Series with the Angels and wins the MVP of the ALCS.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the next thing you know, he's a big-time player in the big leagues. So he goes from like high school where he's nobody to a first-round draft pick to in the big leagues to have a 10-year career.
Right.
And so then take the other girl, the running a media company. Everyone's social media experts now, and like sitting down with somebody like this is what it takes.
It's insane. The competition is insane.
Yeah, to be this is how you have to run a successful media company.
Yeah.
And so someone like you, where it's like, I want to get into Hollywood, maybe I'm not a good enough actor. Maybe this, maybe that. Maybe this is something I can go down to. And then kind of opening the light to people and highlighting them on what they're actually doing in life, because it's kind of really cool, right?
Yeah.
And I think the thing that sucks is, like, when I was in high school, people are like, what are you going to do for a living? I want to be a professional umpire. They're like, that's a job? I'm like, yeah. Right? They thought I was stupid, just like you. Like, that's a terrible idea. Then when I opened up this real estate company, people are like, what a dumb idea that. Then I had a media team. That's dumb. And so it's like, just because the thing is, for me, it's like, how can I interview someone to inspire someone else to do what they want to do?
That's really cool.
Because at the end of the day, none of it matters, right? It doesn't. Like, I'd rather, like, people always, like, my parents are really worried about me failing because they're my parents and they're worried about me. But I'm like, okay, if this all goes away, I'll just go do something else. It's not, like, for you, if all of a sudden one day you woke up, you're like, I'm done with Hollywood, I'm done with this, I'll just go do something else. I don't know why we put so much pressure on ourselves to feel like we have to make it, for one. 2, we're too scared to fail.
Right.
Or 3, I could do this for 5 years and not like it anymore and say, yeah, I'm good. I'm going to go do something else. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm doing
There's
this.
nothing wrong with starting over.
No, I started over at 28.
Yeah.
So and that's the other thing too. Like, if I've started over at 28 and you're 25 and you're like lost, it's like, cool. I was lost at 28 and now I've kind of figured out. And then if I get lost in another 5 years, then I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I do think that's kind of like, if we can inspire people to chase their dreams, because a lot of people in this world don't chase their dreams. Right? So it's like someone like you, like, what you've done is impressive and the world needs to know about it.
Thanks.
No problem. Because it's like, I would be too scared to go, like, obviously, I'd be Hollywood, that's scary. Like, that's something scary. It's scary.
It's not scary.
But,
you gotta live fearless. No, it is scary.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, I'm super nervous all the time.
It is.
You're like, I have an ulcer right now. You're right. So that's the reason why I think that more people need to have these conversations, because sometimes I think, like, oh, I could never be on that TV show. And then now you put a face and a name to someone who's doing it from your town. You're like, well, if they did it, I can do it.
Yeah.
So
honestly, literally, it just comes down, like, if you do it for the right reason and it's part of who you are, it'll just happen.
I think the same thing with anything. It's like with real estate.
Literally with anything.
I want to make a lot of money. Don't do this job. Because you don't make as much as you think you're gonna make, and it's a lot of stress, and it's text messages till 10, it's text messages at 6 a.m., it's people blaming you when things go wrong that are out of your control. We're almost in the same gig, actually.
It is, honestly, and I think that's another thing people don't realize. It's like, especially in a high-risk environment like yours, we have a lot of similarities.
No, we do, actually. So, like, everything you're saying, I'm like, yep. And then balancing people, I think a lot of people don't realize, like, our jobs really is like, what can I tell someone? What should I not tell them? What do I fix? What do I fix it and then tell them? Hey, listen, this is wrong.
Ever present always present a problem with a solution.
Yeah.
Never come with a problem. Because you will not be asked back.
No. And that's the thing that people get. Like, my clients are like, have you done this yet? And I'm like, and I have to sometimes fib a little bit, because it's like, you're just going most
I did that too.
Yeah. Let me explain real estate for a second.
No, and it's not out of bad intention.
No, it's not. But
it's because
you're protecting them from their own selves.
Right.
Because most people are all emotionally based, especially in my world and probably some in your world. Yeah. They just want to go full bloat into a door. Like, they see a problem, they're just like, their emotion or whatever. It's our job to play chess and be like, okay, well, I'm going to do this on this date, and I'm going to say it this way, and I'm going to word something that way, and I'm going to text someone at this time. I'm going to not email this person back immediately so they have time to think about it.
Exactly.
Because I know they're overreacting right now, so I'm going to hit them in a few hours with a solution of the problem. Yeah, and I think that's what separates.
Your approach in every single thing you do is very important.
Exactly.
It's always case-by-case basis.
And the thing is anyone thinks that your job is to keep everyone completely updated. You're not. Your job is to literally look out for the other person, because most people get in their own way. And that's the difference between someone who's successful in your place, someone who's successful in my place. And it's interesting because whenever you talk to anyone who's successful, it's almost the same thing. The same thing you're saying is the same thing Adam said yesterday, the same thing Jessica said the day before, the same thing. Like, it's the same.
That's crazy.
It's hard work.
And
it's
we're all totally different.
And we're all totally different. And so that's why when people think, like, whatever, it's like, dude, it's kind of really all the same thing.
Yeah.
You just got to have to find your niche that fits with you.
Yeah.
Right? Like yours is Hollywood, mine is real estate, Adam's was baseball, blah, blah, blah. It's just like figuring out the niche that you fit into, but the skills that it takes to be successful is almost the same. Yeah. Like I'm shooting a video today. Side note, little preview.
I just remember a time where I got starstruck.
Okay, tell me the story then.
No, well, it's like, it's not a huge celebrity. So.
Hey, listen, I've
do you
been around.
listen to Rufus DeSoul?
No. I've been around
See,
Trout. I've been around all these guys. Hey, listen, I've been around Hall of Fame Major League Baseball players. Never been starstruck.
Yeah.
Right? I ran into Gary Vee one time. I was like, like I saw him on stage I literally was in Vegas for something else. Got a Facebook's great. Facebook sends me an event notification. Gary Vee's speaking. I bail out of that event just to go see him speak. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
I've made it. So sorry. Continue. So who is it?
No, it's not that cool of a story. But
matter.
I have one cool story
Let me hear
I
it.
could share with you. Chuck Liddell.
Yes.
Right? So I did a sports show, and we had to have him punch his way out of a paper bag.
Got it.
In the middle of a match. Well, scratch that. He was hosting the competition. He did that prior. Anyways, I somehow found myself to be his escort to and from the ring.
Nice.
No, it wasn't nice.
Scary?
Because there's like, I'm so short. I'm 5 foot, right? So every single person is a giant to me. Mm-hmm. So this place is packed with screaming fans and mostly male dominant. Mm-hmm. And so I'm having to like somehow make my way through all of these people just so he could get through. And like I said, time is money, and we need to shoot a TV show right now. So I knew like if I don't get him into the ring right now, like I'm going to be deep.
Yeah.
Anyways, it got to a point like that was a moment where I just like told everyone, I don't think I've ever yelled so loud in my entire life. I just said, "Excuse me, he cannot talk right now. We are going to the ring. We are shooting a TV show. I'm sorry. He cannot talk to you." And he is the nicest guy.
Is he?
He's the nicest guy. So he wouldn't like
say no. Yeah, he would sit there and talk.
He would sit there, just take pictures, and he looks at me like, I'm like, oh my gosh, he wants me to be the bad cop right now. This is not fun. And it was a really uncomfortable situation. But you think about it, those uncomfortable situations are the times that set you up for success.
Oh, I think it's the hard times that make everyone just, it's the hard, awkward.
That's like make or break, right?
It's make or break moment.
Yeah.
It's that moment where you're like, gut check time. What am I going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll get back to the question that we got off topic. In 5 years, where are you at? Where do you want to be?
5 years, hopefully I'll be with a network.
Okay.
Because that's what I'd like to do, is eventually I'd like to be on the network side of things, because I like overseeing content. Mm-hmm. But I'm having too much fun right now, because when that happens, I'm not going to be as involved, as directly involved, like as hands-on. So eventually I see myself at least beginning with the network and starting my path there. But as far as which network, I don't know. Mm-hmm. As you can see, there's a lot of new initiatives launching, like Quibi, and who else is doing their own content right now that I can't think about? Like WWE has their own streaming platform. It's crazy. There's a lot of competition right now. So it's just a matter of like where I want to plant myself and if I see myself there or not.
Got it.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer. This is your first time you've ever been interviewed too? You had been interviewed before. No. Yeah. Yeah.
Coincidentally, my high school, because I took a TV video class in high school that everyone said was like the worst, and it was stupid. Yeah. And now look.
Trust me, when I first had a guy follow, because people don't know this. I'll drop a bomb right now.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Alex was supposed to be my first videographer in this house.
You're going to drop that.
And then she got too big for me very quickly. And she was too busy.
Look.
So anyways, I replaced her with Brant.
Yeah.
And but it was funny it's funny you say that, because it's funny how times change, because everyone thought that was stupid. Who do you think you are? I used to remember get texts from agents like, "Oh, can I get your autograph?" You walk around with a guy with a camera. I'm like, "Yeah, send over a photo." And I actually did that twice. Signed my headshot and mailed it to their office. I said, "Here you go. Frame it. It's gonna be worth something one day."
That's none of their business.
See that? But now this whole situation's happening, right? Yeah. Now everyone wants to, Adam, what video cameras do you use? How do you do this? What kind of mics do you use? Blah, blah. I'm like, bro, you should have done this.
Especially during a time like now where people can't or maybe uncomfortable with going to go see a place. Like it's.
Well, maybe I'll start my own TV show one day. That's something I do get a lot. People are like, when are you going to have your own TV show? I'm like, never. I'm good.
Well, maybe that's why we met. Who knows?
Maybe. Hey, maybe my listen, if they're all of a sudden like, hey, Alex, we want to do something maybe out in Riverside with some real estate stuff. Like, I got a guy. I know a guy that can be in front of a camera.
Yeah.
So, on the last note, we're at 50 minutes, and you got to go to work soon. What a champ. Comes here at 8 a.m. in the morning.
Champ.
Freaking gets dressed, actually. I'm proud of her.
I'm proud of myself, too. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm so proud of myself.
I have a meeting. I have a meeting today at 5, and it's at somewhere, and they're like, you can do a Zoom meeting if you're not comfortable coming, or you can show up. Well, to go there, you have to be like jacket, pants. It's a nice place. I'm like, I don't want to put pants on. Zoom meeting. They're like, and I know they're gonna call me out because I was just there last week playing golf. But I'm like, I don't want to I don't want to get dressed. I don't want to do my hair. Like, it's laziness.
Yeah. It's comfort.
It is comfort. It is comfort. So what advice would you leave off if there's someone listening to this, or if I can have you go through this podcast and take a little clips from here and there to promote the show, that, someone is in your position at 15 years old and everyone thinks chasing the dream to Hollywood as a producer or in that kind of field is stupid, what advice would you give someone? Because just remember, you're impacting someone's life right now. So be careful.
Right. Do your research. So know what you're getting yourself into. And that can go so many different ways, right? You can read about it. You can all you want. But you got to talk to someone. And you've got to be fearless and make those connections. And that comes with making a name for yourself. But secondly, what goes very much in hand with that is just being your authentic self and being a good person. That is so important, because I can't tell you how many times I have witnessed people that had a bad attitude on set, or didn't finish something on time, or had no discipline, or just were lazy, or didn't ever take initiative. They were not asked back. That is why I've gotten a few jobs that I've had, because they did not ask for the previous people back. So doing your research and just being your authentic self, but to the best that you can be, in a sense that you're respectful. Right? Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah.
You know how many times I
didn't want to go too deep into it, because I don't want to make it more complex than it should be. It's really not that hard.
But what's funny is that's what I try to tell everyone. It's so simple. We all make it so complicated. Yes, when you start deep diving and and you get in the industry or any industry, and you're in there, and now you're negotiating deals, and now
you're gonna come with a whole new set of problems.
That's a whole. But just to get there, you could in almost any industry, I feel, if you work hard, you're a good person is very underrated. Being a good person,
surprisingly, you don't know how many times that I have been told, literally after every single job, is I look for people like you, and not a lot of you exist. Not a lot of you exist.
There's not a lot of good, hardworking people out there.
And I take pride in that, because yes, I work hard. You can trust me, and I will deliver whatever it is you need. And if it's not what you like, I'll go back and I'll do it again.
Yeah. And I think, and how sad is that's how low the bar is.
Right.
And that's why when people think it's this whole magic, it's talent, it's like, dude, just be a good person, work hard. Oh, and I think one more other thing, own up when you make a mistake. If you make a mistake, you gotta just no excuse. I screwed the pooch.
Even something like just so small too, like, so when you go into the industry, you start as a PA, as a production assistant. You know, I've seen this on numerous occasions where like the PA will go get coffee, but like won't bring sugar and stirs. Like, that's a big mess up. It sounds very silly.
No, it's stupid.
But that's a big mess up.
How do you make that mistake?
Or like you'll go fill the cooler, but like you won't get ice.
Yeah.
Like, everyone will literally be so infuriated with you. You will literally mess up everyone's day.
Well, I think also what happens too with that is like, what people need to realize, when you're on the low end of the spectrum in a job,
Yeah.
everyone above you, they're getting worn out by their boss, right?
Right.
And they can't say anything to their boss because it's their boss. So where does that trickle down? It trickles down to you. So they're already pissed off because they're dealing with, like, you think, oh, what's the big deal?
I'm dealing
stress.
with that
I'm
right
dealing
now.
with so much pressure over here, and then you do something that's gonna probably trickle up to the top, and I'm gonna get worn out about it. You're gonna hear about it.
Oh, it's like there's very recently. I was on another call, work related, and I missed my boss's call, and so I thought, okay, I'll call him immediately. But I called back, and I could tell there was like
Attention in it, yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm sorry, like I was work related, but I understand you're under a lot of pressure, and and that's when here's another thing, don't say sorry.
Never.
Just fix it.
Yeah. Sorry means
Like,
absolutely nothing.
I hate sorry.
Sorry.
Everyone hates sorry.
No one likes sorry.
I used to be like, and I learned that through experience. Like, this is not me saying like, I learned all this through experience. I used to say sorry all the time. Like, I'm sorry, I messed up. Like, whatever. No, just shut up. Don't say anything. Let them tell you they're right. Don't do it again.
And that's another thing too. Just wear it. Even if you know they're 100% wrong, you just have to wear it.
Yeah.
And that's the position when you realize you're like, okay. Because
and then when you get more experience, you just say, maybe there's some confusion.
Yeah.
Here's what happened.
Yeah.
Just so you know. And that's it.
But then you also been around a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Got a little more street cred. They
Street
respect
cred, exactly.
Yeah, they respect you a little bit more. You know what I mean? I feel that's where I'm starting to get to the point where I can tell clients more stuff now.
Yeah.
Because they're like, okay, this guy. Or I can tell their agents make stuff like, hey, this is what we're doing.
Right.
Oh, okay. But when I first started, I was like, yeah, whatever you say. You know?
Yeah.
I just didn't have that cred yet. So, you know what? This is a pleasure.
Yeah,
This
it was.
fun. Yeah.
It really was.
I appreciate you getting back to me so quickly.
Oh, of course.
You know?
And honestly, and that's another part of it too, is like always being on top of whatever it is. And I had the time right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm going to have this time again.
For sure, because she's too popular even
No,
a few years
it's
ago.
not that.
Even a few years ago to be my video person.
It's not that.
So, well, I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, though.
No, of course. And I will throw this out here. If there is someone that wants to reach out to someone, can they reach out to you on Instagram?
Yeah, of course.
All right, well, I'll tag her in this post anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Thank you.
Remember, guys, this show is to promote people from Riverside doing amazing things and to inspire other people to do those amazing things too, because we're all meant for greatness. So remember that.
Yeah,
Until
of
next
course.
time, peace.